Have you ever wondered what it really takes to learn to code? Forget the stereotypes you see in movies, all that frantic typing and crazy math. Today, we're going to break down the entire journey, from that very first line of code all the way to thinking like a seasoned pro. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, let's tackle a huge myth. Do you have to be some kind of math genius to be a programmer? A lot of people really believe this, and honestly, it stops them before they even write a single line of code. But what if I told you that's just not true at all?
The reality is, it's a lot simpler and, frankly, kind of funny when you think about it. Programming is less about complex equations and way more about giving super clear instructions to a friend who takes everything you say literally, like absolutely literally. And that friend? Well, that's your computer.
So let's really dig into that idea. To think like a programmer, you first have to understand who you're talking to. And yeah, you're talking to that literal robot friend. Think about it like this. You can't just tell a computer, make a sandwich. It would have no idea what to do. You have to break it down into the tiniest, most painfully obvious steps. Walk to the kitchen, open the pantry, take out the bread. Every single little action has to be spelled out perfectly. And that right there is the core idea of programming. And that gives us our basic lingo, right? That whole list of sandwich making instructions, that's your code. The specific language you use to write it, because your literal friend doesn't speak English, that's the programming language. And you? Well, you're the programmer, the one who translates a big idea into that perfect step-by-step recipe.
Okay, so you get the basic idea of giving instructions. But what really separates a beginner from a professional? I'll tell you what it's not. It's not about memorizing a million commands. It's all about your mindset. It's how you think.
Now listen up, because this might be the single most important rule we talk about today. You have to stop consuming and start creating. Seriously, watching tutorials is fine, but you don't actually learn until you start building your own stuff, even if your first projects are just awful. Don't wait until you feel like you know enough. The secret is you gotta start right now. And here's another huge mental switch you have to make. Beginners, they define themselves by their tools. They say, I'm a Python programmer. But the pros, they define themselves by their purpose. They say, I'm a problem solver who just happens to use Python. See the difference? The language is just a tool. The real skill is solving the puzzle.
Every single person who has ever written code knows one feeling very well: being stuck. You're going to feel this way a lot, probably most of the time. But you have to get this into your head. Feeling stuck doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're doing the job. The entire job of a programmer is about getting stuck and then, bit by bit, figuring out how to get unstuck.
So how do the pros do it? It's not magic, they just have a system. First, they actually read the error message, and then they read it again. Then they copy and paste that exact error into Google. A classic trick is to try and explain the problem out loud. This is called rubber ducking, and you'd be amazed how often you solve it yourself just by saying it. And when all else fails, they use a tool called a debugger to watch their code run one line at a time. And the secret to building that get unstuck muscle? It's all about consistency. Seriously, coding for just 30 to 60 minutes every day is like 1,000 times more effective than trying to cram in one giant 8-hour coding session on a Saturday. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
All right, so if you're going to go on this programming adventure, you need to know what skills to work on. I like to think of it like a skill tree in a video game. You've got two main branches: the tools you use and the traits you need to develop. So on one side, you've got your hard skills. That's the technical stuff, like learning a language, using Git for version control, knowing some data structures. But then look at the other side, the soft skills: patience, logic, curiosity, communication. Let me tell you, in the long run, these are often way more important than any one specific tool.
So for those hard skills, where do you even start? The consensus is pretty clear: pick one language and just stick with it for a while. And for beginners, the top recommendation is almost always Python. Why? Simple. Its grammar is just clean and easy to read. It almost looks like plain English, which makes it a fantastic place to start. This all sounds good in theory, right? But how do you actually put it into practice? What should you do tomorrow and the day after that? This last section is all about a real, practical plan you can actually follow.
Look, this journey isn't just some vague idea. It's a structured path. For the first couple of months, you just nail the fundamentals. Build a few tiny projects. Then, you start moving on to more real-world stuff. And by the end of about a year, if you stick with it, you could totally have a project that's ready for a portfolio. It's so achievable.
And as you walk down that path, just try to steer clear of these common traps. The absolute biggest one is tutorial hell, where you just watch video after video without ever building anything yourself. Also, try really hard not to copy and paste code you don't actually understand. And above all, remember that consistency beats intensity. The goal is to keep going, not to burn out.
So let's bring it all home. The goal isn't to become so brilliant that you never get stuck. That's just impossible. The real goal, the achievable goal, is to get amazing at the process of getting unstuck so that no problem can ever truly stop you. It's about building resilience. It's about becoming a problem solver, which really just leaves one question. What problem are you going to solve first?